Yeah, yeah. I don't even know your phone. I guess it's right.
Yep.
All right, welcome,
Yeah.
welcome to Retro Bar Podcast, episode 13. No guest this morning, so it's just me and Paul. But we have topics to talk about as always. So hopefully you'll tune in either live or you'll watch this at some point. And I guess the first thing we're going to bring up, and we're not going to dwell on this, but of course with this school shooting and the mall shooting in Buffalo and everything, and Paul having been a law enforcement officer and a school resource officer, he can probably, hopefully, at least lend a little bit of insight on how things should work, how they do work. I seen various reports, and again, you can't believe anything you read on the internet, whether it's news, people talking, whatever.
Yeah.
But like there was apparently this kid ran into the school through an open door. Um,
Yeah. So this is obviously a topic that comes up
right.
quite often with
Yeah,
all the school
like,
shootings.
well, and what
um,
is the protocol? Like,
yeah, there's all sorts of things to talk about there. Like you said, not going to get into it real deep,
right,
but I was a school resource officer for Effort and a police officer for Effort Borough. So I'm retired.
right,
So I'm not speaking for either one of them organizations.
right, right,
And I don't know if the policies and procedures have changed.
right.
I'm not
That's
obviously not giving away any kind
any
of
secrets or
anything that
yeah,
would compromise any safety of anybody. But with that being said, there I have some thoughts, on what had happened in this most recent one. There has been a lot of discussion on the police response.
right.
They got there in a timely manner,
But took
but
forever to
then
do anything.
didn't. But then, and I'm not second guessing the officers there.
Right,
The investigation is obviously ongoing, and
yeah,
I don't know all the facts.
right,
There was a time in history here that the police officers were not supposed to go into an active shooter without X amount of officers coming with them and going in as a group.
okay,
That was many, many, many years ago,
all right,
and that does not exist anymore.
right, okay,
If an officer arrives and they're immediately going in, they're going to go look for the bad guy right away.
okay.
There's not any question there.
Where apparently here they didn't necessarily do that.
That's what
I mean,
is starting to come out.
yeah,
So again, not to bust on them
Right.
officers, because if that's their policy,
well, right, and that's I guess
Uh,
policies across. It's not one policy across the
No,
board.
right?
Each school probably has its own. Each
Well, police
township
department,
or police
police
department or
department
whatever.
has its
Yeah,
own protocol. A lot of the direction that Lancaster County has, a lot of the direction comes from the district attorney's office. If their policy said that they weren't supposed to go in until a SWAT team arrived,
right,
as an officer, you stand there and you want to go in and you want to do the right thing, and you're going to get
But-
fired.
right, or
Are you
yeah.
going to get? I don't.
arrested, or
Right.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
all sorts of.
Yeah, so you don't. I mean, you don't really. You can't throw blame at the officers at this point yet,
No.
because
No.
you don't.
No.
We don't. You don't
No.
know.
And if it was their policy, I would have to assume that
They were following their
their
policy.
policy and that they're going to change that policy as
Right.
the higher powers that be would do that,
Yeah.
because that obviously does not work out. You go after a bad guy no matter where he's at.
Right,
If he's
right.
in a room, worst case scenario is you can't get in that room, and they're in there
Right.
doing whatever they're doing, but you're actively trying to get in the room.
Yeah.
Now,
As far as the door not being
right.
locked,
Yeah, that would be the next thing. Is there's a lot of talk. Like, can one officer take care of X
Well, I don't
amount
think-
of schools?
I don't think so.
and
But I think that is not like isn't the protocol in today's world that when a door shuts, it's locked.
yes, it is here. It is here.
And so why was that either not locked or
Yeah.
standing wide open, or how did he get in that door? I don't
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah, I don't know.
and being the conspiracist I am,
Mm.
and it would be horrible to think about. And I don't think this is the case with this, because this kid apparently shot his grandmother
Yeah.
before he even took off,
Mhm.
did what he did, and apparently, according to Facebook posts or whatever, his intent was to shoot up an elementary school, according to what I saw. Now,
I didn't hear that, but yeah, that could be. Did he go there? Did he? Apparently, he
was
he
that
dropped out of high
a
school. there.
premeditated thing that, okay,
Right.
I'm going to shoot my grandma and then I'm going to go do this? The fact that he did shoot his grandmother probably, I would think, eliminates the inside job kind of
Yeah.
conspiracy where,
Right.
hey, we're going to leave that door
Yeah.
open. You come to that door, you
Yeah.
go in, and we're anti-gun activists.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know why the kid, like, why would you do that? You know, you're not going to probably either ever see the light of day again or end
Yeah.
up dead.
Right.
But the mentality of some people is they don't care.
No. So that's the bigger picture we could talk about. But in this particular incident, the doors, in effort, the doors are locked. There's not any question the doors are
Right.
locked. It's a fortress. You're safe. The kids are safer at the school than they are at home.
Right. Well, yeah.
Most
Yeah.
people, I say most, I don't know that. There's some people that don't lock their houses. There's some people that don't lock.
A whole gang could storm in here now while we're down here.
Well,
I mean,
and some people don't lock their cars.
some don't.
And if that's your choice, that's fine.
Some don't have a whole lot of valuables.
Well,
in their
that could be.
cars.
As an officer, it was frustrating to hear certain people say, "Well, if I lock my doors, that just means they're going to break the window to get in." Well, that's not true.
Yeah.
Because
No,
it was case after case after case where we would get called at 6 a.m, and on this particular street there was a whole bunch of cars going through, and it was interesting to see. It was only the unlocked cars
Right.
that they rifled through and took stuff.
Well, it's
the
much
locked
easier.
cars. It is because do they want to break a window? Do they have any tools?
Is
to
that
break a
going to
window?
set off an alarm?
An alarm?
Yeah.
Is it going to
That's
wake
gonna-
people up?
Yeah.
So I am a huge advocate of a locked door. Okay. So in a lot of ways, just like a car, it would be.
I think I'm sort of getting a lecture.
Yeah,
here.
kind of. Well, if you don't have anything valuable in your car, that's up to you.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you where I got in the habit, really, is when I owned my Jeep with a soft top.
it was. Yeah, soft top. Yeah.
I very rarely locked it unless I was,
Yeah.
worst case scenario and had something valuable. But I figured they can unzip the window.
Yes,
I
well,
mean, they don't even have to break nothing.
No, and I had a Jeep where it had
There's
soft
nothing,
top,
yeah,
and half the
yeah.
time the top was down.
Right,
It was nice.
right.
So, but there was nothing valuable in there. Okay, there is them circumstances, but if you heard a window break outside your house, I mean,
Right. It would investigate.
you would look into that.
Yeah.
That's where I'm a huge advocate of. If a door is broken or somebody's pounding it, whatever the case is, it gives somebody
Time to do something.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Them seconds are crucial to react,
Yeah.
whether that be a school or your house.
Yeah.
So your doors are locked, and all of a sudden at 2 a.m, you hear somebody kick in your door because it was locked.
Right. Right.
And that gives you an opportunity to, number one, wake up and think, like, what's going on? What just happened? Rather than waking up to somebody standing right next to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, my house doors, my car stays open a lot. My house gets locked.
There you go.
Yeah.
But schools are the same, at least in Effort. Them doors are locked. And not only the outside doors, but the inside doors.
See, and what are the, in my mind, this kid wrecks his car, runs up to this elementary. Now, obviously, he was from the area.
Yes.
Maybe even attended that school as a youngster. I don't know that. But it seems to me, what are the odds this kid scrambling around runs to a side back door, whatever the door looked
Yes,
like? It wasn't the main entrance. And
well, I don't know, because they said he ended up in the main entrance.
see, in my mind, and again, this is assumptions and what you see, but the door they pictured was like this
Side
door in the
right.
side of a brick wall,
Yeah.
and like this kid coincidentally runs up to it, and it happens to be open.
Right.
The only door he tries.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, and who knows? Maybe he tried several before.
well, maybe
did.
he did. Maybe he did. But
He found one that's open.
yeah. But
Yeah.
the other thing is, if he was running around trying all these doors before he got in, wasn't the story
Yeah.
that the cops were already following him because
Yeah.
of shooting his grandmother?
Well, they
So-
weren't following him. No, minors, and they weren't.
Oh,
But they got a call
okay.
that had happened, but they didn't know where he
From
was.
the grandmother.
Yes,
think,
but they
yeah.
didn't know where he was.
Oh,
She didn't
okay.
know he was going to the school.
Okay.
You know,
I thought that
he shot right before he entered the school. Apparently, there was a shooting that he shot at people across the street from the school at a car wash or something.
Oh, okay. That I
So
didn't
that
hear.
would have been called in, right? So, and there's a lot of, you roll into a scene and you're hearing a shooting, but where is it? What's going on? There's
Right.
you're
Is
it's a
it one
blank sheet.
person? Is it a
What's
bunch of
going
people?
on?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and Grandma probably couldn't have given a lot of details.
No.
She was shot in the face.
Right.
And that's
Right.
You know,
I mean, I found it amazing she had the
yes.
presence of mind to even worry about calling the
Mhm.
cops to begin with. But,
Yeah. So doors are locked in our area. I did a lot of training with the kids all the way from elementary all the way to high school, staff and the students both, where explaining, look, I'm one person,
right.
and we have a lot of cops around here, right?
Yeah.
But in them 4 to 6 minutes when it takes an officer to get there,
Right.
if there's not one already there, okay, what do you do, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of discussion about that. How do you respond to an emergency? And you know, some parents were and staff were very apprehensive about that. Like, we don't want to think about that. We don't want to talk about.
But that's
that.
the big mistake.
That is
Because okay, hopefully it never happens.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be better to be a little bit knowledgeable about how to handle it if it does? You know,
Yes.
God forbid it does.
I know.
But it's not impossible.
That was my thought.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
that was the administration at the school. You know, Dr. Hess, Dr. Hornberger, and Dr. Troop were all they were all about safety. There wasn't anything high. I mean, education, absolutely, but safety of the kids, you know,
Yeah.
that was in their hands, and
Well,
they
right,
took it very
right.
seriously. So they did everything they could to make the kids safe.
Right.
And there is a lot of things in place in the school that obviously you can't discuss.
Well, right.
That are absolutely there for the kids' safety. So again, it's what do you do for that 4 to 6 minutes
Right.
until an officer arrives? Well, then that's what you teach. That's what I taught, trying to explain. Okay, so this is just so, and we would give scenarios. Like, this is a scenario. How would you handle this? And we would practice it.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the staff. Okay.
Well, and that's a good thing. I mean, and the more now you obviously can't spend 3 hours every day of school practicing for stuff like that.
No.
But the more you do practice, the more the less you have to think about stuff if the event happens.
Yeah. So yeah,
you know what I mean. I mean, with anything, that's how
it is. And it's difficult because so much more time is being spent on safety now.
Right.
Right. And parents are that they're to be educated. Why are you doing all these drills? Well, it's the safety of the kids.
Well, and then same parents will be the ones bitching when something happens.
Maybe.
You know,
right.
Yeah.
It's a shame we have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Effort is also a huge proponent of Life Ready Grad, in that they are trying to get the kids ready when they graduate to be adults,
ready for real life.
Yeah, ready
instead
for
of for life
Yeah.
in a educational setting.
Right. Yeah, because you go to college and you're kind of on your own
Yeah.
in college.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
or you get a job and you know you're on your own. I mean,
Yeah.
you either cut it or you don't.
right.
Yeah.
So to teach the kids, look, situational awareness, know what's around you. You know, you have
Yeah.
your phone and you're looking at your phone all the time. Well, look around. See
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
there could be something, an argument starting over here with two guys. Well, there's probably an area you don't want to be in.
Right.
Hopefully they don't pull a gun, but that's unfortunate that so many times we hear it in the downtown,
Right.
you know, York. I think it was York. Two guys got in an argument outside a bar,
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
boom, they start shooting at
Yeah.
one another. Wow, you could be
Yeah.
hit and not even
Right,
part of it.
right.
So situational awareness and knowing and teaching like what's going on around you, and not that the cops run towards the bad guy.
Right.
You need to get away.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the cops, our cops trained in the schools. So on a particular day, and they do not have a large call volume,
Right.
you can never tell.
Or- well,
You
right,
can never
yeah,
tell. But
yeah.
typically, okay, so we're all going to get together, and we're all going to go to the high school, or the middle school, or one of the elementary schools, and we're going to go in and we're going to practice.
Yeah.
The principal already knows, right? We're not going to be pulling our weapons out,
Right.
but we are going to take a walk through the school, and we're gonna imagine, all right, well, if bad guys in this room, how do we approach? How do we keep kids safe and teachers safe? How do we, all the staff? They would practice on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and they
that's,
would get in.
I mean, I don't even see, like, you almost have to, if you're expected to go there and take care of issues like this.
Yeah.
You almost have to have been taken in the building.
Yeah,
And
look
shown
around.
where things are.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're showing up for the first time and you
Yes.
have no idea, is
Oh,
that a bathroom? Is that
dude.
an office? You know,
Right.
yeah.
We do that with the admin does that with the kids when they go from 8th grade into the high school, from middle school to high school. They give them the opportunity, multiple opportunities to go
And familiarize yourself.
walk through the high school.
Yeah.
Here's your schedule.
Yeah.
Comes
Practice.
like August, late
Yeah.
August when school starts. Here's your schedule. Walk around the school and find your room.
Yeah.
Because a lot of schools, they're a maze.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And you get
I
turned
even
around
think
pretty
back
quickly.
when my son went from middle school to high school at Warwick, they had it might have been a week before school started. They had a day you
Yeah.
could go in and just
Yeah.
sort of, all right, well, this ain't as bad as I thought, or
right.
I'm going to be lost, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, and they've upped the game since then.
Okay.
Yeah, after at least after
Yeah, okay.
they bring them over as a class, you know, and take them to the auditorium and let them eat lunch in the high school
Okay.
cafeteria and say, this is what lunch is going to look
Well,
like.
because I mean that
The
is
anxiety goes
yeah, no,
way
because it
down.
is. I mean, some kids worse than others, but probably every kid, a little bit in the back
Oh,
of their
yeah.
mind, they got a little
Absolutely.
apprehension.
Well,
about it.
nobody wants to be that kid that's embarrassed.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
absolutely
like that.
standing there in a circle and lost. You know, that's
Or,
horrible.
I got to take a leap, but I don't know where to
I
go.
don't know.
Where do I go?
I don't know what's going on. And I don't know where my class is. And
Yeah.
that might still happen, but at least it.
Yeah.
Familiar. And that's what the cops do. The cops go in and they'll go through the school,
Yeah.
and they'll try to. And the other thing is, our cops in the whole Ephrata area, right? And there's multiple police departments that cover
Parts of effort. Yeah.
You know, we got Akron, we got Northern Regional
Yeah.
Police Departments. So everybody has access. I say everybody. That every cop has access to every building.
Okay.
Okay. So in this case, there was some discussion. Again, I don't know if it's
Right.
true that the cops couldn't get in the building. They had to wait for a principal with a key.
Well, I mean, that might be the case. I don't know.
I don't
I mean,
know,
it
but
seems
that-
like a weird rule.
Well,
Because
I
what
don't
if
know
the
that there was a
principal
rule
with the key
that-
got shot?
Right.
Then who has a key?
He's inside.
Yeah.
So our cops have access to every building and can get in multiple ways. They can get in that building. They don't need anybody to let them in,
Right.
and they are on the move.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's.
And
I mean,
that's-
should be comforting for at least parents listening to this. At least in Ephrata.
Yes.
I mean,
Oh yeah. No, it is. And I hate to say that something would ever happen, and you can always prepare as much as you want.
well, right.
You know.
But you
the
can't
more you-
prepare every scenario,
No.
every possible thing that could happen.
No, but
So-
you can prepare yourself and put yourself in that mindset, at least briefly,
Right.
as we do with staff and our cops. And like, this is what could happen.
Right.
And so that the first time you're doing it, hopefully never, but
Right.
if it does happen, this isn't the first time you thought about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Which is a big advantage.
Mhm.
Now, as far as like, apparently this kid went to a gun store, legally bought a gun when he turned 18, like a couple days before this
Yeah.
happened. Apparently,
I didn't hear that, but yeah,
Uh,
that
now isn't.
makes
I mean,
sense.
I'm not a big gun guy, but isn't there like supposedly like a waiting period? Like, if I went up to the gun shop up the street here and
Mhm.
wanted to buy whatever, could I walk out the store with that in my hand?
right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I mean, I always thought at least recently, there's been this, they got to do a background check.
Yeah, they do.
and it takes a couple days.
Yeah. Mhm.
And maybe, maybe that isn't a rule where this kid bought his gun. If it was a rule, you wonder, like, everybody wants to ban guns. Well, not everybody, but you
Yeah.
got your gun banners and
Yeah.
your non-gun banners. Banning guns, in my mind, is going to do nothing because the bad guy is going to find a way to get a gun, much like he finds a way to get drugs. During Prohibition, people still drank,
Yeah.
prostitution. You can make all these rules, and the bad guys are going to still. They're going to have guns, and then the bad guys are also going to be making a lot more money because people are going to buy guns from the bad guys
Yeah.
instead of from a legal source. So banning guns isn't going to work. Maybe banning types of guns, but even that, they're going to get them if they want.
I'm not a big fan of banning guns. Right? Yeah. Okay, but I think there has to be a mix. I mean, my stand is when it comes to school shooting is mental health.
I think that's the bottom. I think that is the bottom foundation. That is way more important than saying nobody can have guns.
Yeah, well, but so I would hope that there would be a mix. Like, yes, maybe there needs to be a little bit more restriction or more of a waiting period, or
right.
Not that you can't have them, but you have to jump through X amount of hoops or to make sure that you are safe to have one,
or that you're not just running into a gun store buying a gun in a state of you're pissed off about something,
right?
And you wake up one morning and you decide, fuck it, I'm going to get a gun and I'm shooting shit.
Right. So a mixture of some type of, like, I wouldn't say restricting is not the word. I think I'm not sure what the word would be. Like some type of procedure that would not make it difficult, but make sure that you're good.
You're good in the head.
Yes. Okay. So then mix that with the mental health, and I am huge when it comes to helping with mental health. We had a great agreement back when I was running there with Ephrata Hospital, WellSpan, that was fantastic. So if a kid comes in and whether he broke up with Susie and he's depressed, or she just got a low score on a test and she's depressed and she makes some statements and or it's more serious than that. To me, it didn't matter.
Right.
They're yelling for help. If they text or message their friends like, "Well, I'm done. I'm out. See you guys later."
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the reason is.
Right. Because especially adolescent people.
Right. And so many of them blow that off. So many are like, "Oh, they're pissed because they broke up." Okay, maybe, but we need to address that, and they need to have the tools to understand how to process that.
Yeah.
That there is a whole bunch more boyfriends or girlfriends out there.
Oh yeah.
There's
but obviously fish in the sea.
There is, and at our age we know that.
Right.
But at their age, that is the only.
The older we get, the more dry the sea gets.
Not as many around.
There's not as many old fish swimming in the sea.
No.
But yeah, to each individual, any incident could be a trigger.
Absolutely.
I mean, just because it's not to me or to you, it doesn't mean it's not to them.
Yeah.
And
so mental health, so let's get started with mental health, and Ephrata has it. The admin there at Ephrata was totally supportive of getting our kids help. Sometimes the kids wouldn't even tell their parents what's going on.
Right.
But they would tell their counselor, or they would tell a friend in school, or they would tell a teacher that they're really close to.
Yeah.
And that teacher was trained, look, if this kid says this, this is what you need to do. Okay. So it's not, oh yeah, don't worry about her. They just broke up. Don't worry. She'll kick back again.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that may be after they get some tools to understand how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it starts very minimal like that. And then it just progresses. So the New York shooting, right? 18 years old, 19, just got out of high school. He had mental health issues. Now, again, this is one of them where you're not going to catch every one of them.
Right.
Mental health issues, the school heard about it and dealt with his mental health, whatever that was.
Right.
They took him to the hospital. At the hospital, they assessed him and then released him. Nothing wrong with the hospital. Maybe he didn't do or say anything, and they thought that they had as much as they could possibly do with him at that point.
Right.
And that's the way it's supposed to work. That doesn't mean you're going to stop everything.
Right.
But the bottom line was it was mental health that created him to go in and shoot 10 people in that.
Well, I think every shooting on earth is a mental health issue. It's
Absolutely.
somebody of sane mind, without some sort of underlying emotional, or I mean, they might think they're thinking sane based on the way their
Yeah.
chemical whatever makeup is, but every shooting
Yeah.
is every random shooting has to be a mental health thing. Like you're
And
trying to.
It is, and that's so the end of this investigation, which is it's really frustrating that they don't do more for mental health, because they're going to investigate this and they're going to say, "Yep, he got the guns. He was legally allowed the guns," or in some cases, "Oh, they got the gun here illegally, and we're going to deal with that." Well, if he's gone, you're
Right.
not going
What
to
do
deal
you,
with anything.
what penalty are
you're going to go after the parents? Or okay, that's going to solve an issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, unless they got another kid who's going to do the exact same thing,
Right.
they're going to want somebody held accountable. I get it, but so let's deal with the mental health. What's frustrating is they come back and say, "Well, we need more gun restrictions." Okay, we can mix that in with it, but let's get them the mental health,
Right.
because they're pissed at something, or something isn't firing right way back here.
Yeah.
And now we're here, and they are so frustrated that they're going to do this.
And when they get to that point, if they can't find a gun, they're going to find something else.
I think it was it Red Lion? It was in York County. There was a principal that was killed by a student with a machete.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if you
can-
get to the point where you see no other way out
Yes.
than
Yeah,
doing that type of thing,
sure.
if you can't find a gun, you'll
Yeah.
find you might not. I guess the benefit is you may not be able to take out as many people.
That's their.
But you're still gonna
yeah.
go on your mission and do
Yeah.
whatever bad things you're gonna
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
using whatever you can get your hands on.
Mhm.
I mean, and look at like Timothy McVeigh.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have a gun. He
Right.
bought
Yeah.
fertilizer
Right.
and took out way more people than
Yeah.
a gun would have.
So it's really frustrating. What I heard the other day that just ticked me off to no end was, well, we're gonna buy this system, and we're gonna put it in the school, and this system is going to be a listening device, and it's going to be able to tell when a weapon is pulled from a holster, and it's immediately going to call 911.
How is that?
And they actually were going to buy this system, and I was so infuriated. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, do the people who actually say that look at the history? And calling 911 or getting the cops there is generally not the problem.
Right.
I don't know that there's ever been a problem
So
where the guy has been in the school for a long time and nobody was able to call 911. So now they're going to spend money on a system that's going to call 911. Are you?
And only based
stupid?
on the sound of the gun coming out of the holster.
Yes.
Well, how many of these yahoos have their gun holstered up
No,
when they run
right.
into school
No,
anyway? They probably
they don't.
They probably didn't spend money on a holster.
No.
They probably just wanted the gun.
But this is the mindset of these people. They're like,
They live. There's too many people on this
Ah.
earth that live in some sort of fantasy world.
Yeah.
Like I don't know where it came from or how these people got into it. It's almost like somebody is from a distance brainwashing or mind controlling
Yeah.
people. Like how do you?
I have no idea.
Didn't you ever live a day outside of
Yeah.
a school or where do you get these ideas?
Yeah,
Like
right.
that's,
Yeah. And we're talking about schools, but like the shooting in New York
Yeah,
was in a
right.
school,
Right,
And,
and
but
just
the basis is the same.
yeah.
I think it's mental health. I think
Well,
that's,
it is.
and then
I mean,
it
it's
was like 2016. The government says, "All right, there's no more money."
yeah, but there's
mental health.
money. There's money to fight drugs. There's money to ship over to Ukraine. There's money.
All right.
There's
a lot of money there.
Yeah,
But we can't fix our own house.
right.
Yeah.
And that's
That's the problem.
because do they really want to fix our own house? That's a question I have to
Well,
ask. But
so now Texas, them parents are going to create a huge fuss, and so be it. That's good. They
yeah,
should.
yeah.
What comes out of it? That's going to be real interesting. I don't know. They're going to have to do the investigation and see where it lies, but I have a feeling it's it's mental health issues.
Well,
and
and do you think even now these school shootings? Yes, they've happened before,
but
they
many,
seem more-
many,
but they seem like all of a sudden, and maybe it's because you hear about more of them. It's easy to pass the word through the internet. But I almost think that part of this mental health issue with these kids in right now today was the year and a half they were cooped up in their house
Yeah.
without being able to interact with anybody except their computer screen.
Mhm.
And then they got thrown back out
I don't know
And-
that there's many. I don't have the statistics to say that there's been more
more now
shootings
than
since-
then.
I know that there is more mental health issues.
Well,
since
that's what
then,
I'm saying
but I don't
is
know that it got to the point where there's been more shootings than before. But you're right.
Yeah.
There's been school shootings since many
oh yeah,
way
since-
back now, and social media is a big part of
a big part of a big part of finding out about it, but also
Yeah.
a big part of people being able to be picked on.
yeah. Oh, that's
And-
the other part. Yeah, right.
You know,
So
like
you could blame social media. Like I was talking news. When
Okay.
I'm saying the news is putting it out there because they are
And-
24/7 now, and they
right,
have to
and they
something
have to
report.
find something
They
to tell
got to
you about.
find some itty bitty little thing that happened at the other end of the country,
Right.
and make a big deal out of it
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's a slow news
Yeah.
day, and then that's what they plaster in front of you.
Right.
So is that happening? Absolutely.
Yeah,
So you're
yeah.
seeing more than really what it makes it almost unrealistic because you didn't see that 20 years ago.
Right.
But you see
Even though
that-
it happened.
right,
Yeah.
it did. So, but the other part, you're right though, is social media with kids and all the platforms of
Of being able to hide behind your screen and pick
Yes.
on Johnny.
Absolutely.
And
that's a
and
big
if,
part
and
of
if
it too.
if enough people gang up on Johnny,
Mhm.
and
that happens.
You
That happens.
Johnny's probably gonna get pissed. And,
Right. Yep. So I mean, there was Snap, Kick, Instagram. There's been, and it's. I just heard one last week, and it wasn't a new one. I had heard it before, but it wasn't as popular. But now I understand that one's becoming more popular. It just flips
Yeah.
about every year or so.
Well,
it
there's
flips to
like a
different-
fad.
Yeah.
Like it's a
a new app comes out for kids to talk,
yeah.
and they don't necessarily use it the way it's supposed to be used.
Right.
But there's no monitoring of it.
And most
Um,
and all those new apps, I mean, I don't even know what they are. Like
No,
most parents
right.
probably
No,
so the
because-
kids find out about them.
Yep.
Start using them because it's almost like okay, well, my mom ain't ever gonna see me do
No,
this
absolutely
because I'm not on Facebook. She
No.
don't know what I'm doing here.
No,
You know,
no.
it's-
And if by chance the parents are somewhat checking, I as a kid could go on YouTube and I could find out how to bypass any parental
yeah,
restrictions
Yeah.
that are on that device.
Yeah.
I absolutely could do that, and
and
then they're backdooring it.
yeah,
they,
and once one kid finds out how to do
oh,
it,
you go
the
to
whole
school.
knows
Oh,
it. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, it's-
Yeah, and then it runs from there.
yeah.
I don't think that's going away, and it's
No,
there's
it's not.
So again, if it's affecting you mental health wise, how can you deal with that?
Well-
How can you process that, and how can, when you're not invited to a party
Right.
and everybody else is because they have the app, and for whatever reason you're not, and you find out, and that upsets you, how are you going to deal
Yeah.
with that?
What? Yeah. Where should you go? Who should you talk to?
Right.
I mean, does
Even
it
in your own
does
mind?
it really piss you off, or
Yeah.
I didn't really want to go there,
Well,
or not, but
Yeah.
but to evaluate especially for a kid, like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm pissed.
Yeah.
Am I pissed enough that I need help?
Right.
Or am I just pissed till I go
Right.
and wake
Do
up?
I
in the
tell
morning?
my parents?
Yeah,
Who do I vent to? What? Where?
And how do you know that? Like how does
So it gets to the point
well,
where
even me, like at what
Yeah.
point do I become pissed or sad or
Yeah.
distraught over something that I need to seek help?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Because to me, seeking help is like probably the very last straw.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, not, and it's not to everybody.
No.
There's people who, stub their toe or they didn't get a letter in the mail they thought they were, and all of a sudden they're having a breakdown and seeking help. And that's fine. It's just not my world. It's
Mhm.
it would take
So once again, the school becomes a teaching device, maybe, or a mental health, because the parents aren't or don't know how to do it.
right. Yeah,
So,
and I would be the
so
first
the-
parent to admit I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not schooled in telling my kid what the steps are or how you should feel or
Right.
how to get better.
No.
Because nobody ever taught me that. I mean, it was
No.
always like,
Right.
"Fucking
Well,
suck
yeah.
it up, dude."
Yeah, yeah.
That's,
Yes, me too.
It-
But I
that's
get
not
that.
how it is now.
Mm-mm. No. So the school becomes once again not just teaching math and science and English.
Well, and
they are expanding their
how to deal with life.
yeah, really.
And that's a good thing
It's
because
not,
that
right.
makes
It is a good thing.
that and along with that, I think they ought to teach how to write it. Not that checks are all that used anymore, but how to manage money, how to
Yeah.
like things that when you're done in school, you actually can fall back on and use. I'm not saying don't learn math, don't learn science, but to the degree that some of these kids have to learn math or a foreign language, and then they get out of school, and when do you you put all that time into learning calculus?
I don't.
And
Yeah.
then where in the real world do you ever use it?
You probably have more information than I do on that. I don't.
But you don't. I mean, how many things that we learned in school, and we probably didn't learn anything to the depth of what some of these kids are learning in advanced classes.
Right.
Uh,
Math sucked for me. I could
well,
do algebra. That was about as far as I got.
I mean, I was much better at geometry than algebra.
Well, and your job required.
Well, now, because of my job, I sort of understand it more than I did when I was in school.
Yeah.
But even that, like I only need to know one or two things on my like
Yeah.
I wouldn't know all the stuff. I only know what I need to know. But I mean, seems to be a lot of things taught in school these days. I'm going to say you're being taught to a test, so you can pass that test. So the state is happy, and you can graduate. And then once you're out of school, was anything on that test something that you're going to then use from there on? I don't know.
It's way beyond me. I have no idea. I know that when I was at school, I took typing class because
it sounded easy.
No, because there were girls in the typing
well, okay,
class.
all right. Well,
there
that
were
was
girls in the typing class, and that was.
Well, I actually
that was good.
Like
it's good. Ironically, in police work,
you had to type.
Oh, I typed.
So,
I was very good. I wasn't very good at
weird
English.
way, you made a right choice there.
Yeah, I wasn't very good at English. And
well, neither am I. Speaking wise, I can spell check like a freaking star, but I can't speak.
No, sentence structure is good as probably what it should have been. But typing, I could bang out a report as far as typing went pretty good.
So while you were in typing, you actually put a little effort into it.
Well,
it wasn't just checking out checks. But
you had a pass, but you got to interact with some.
Okay.
Effort had a lot of good looking girls.
Okay. All right.
It's kind of weird how some of the things that you did learn
do come up.
They do.
Well, and typing is even
you wouldn't
today because you maybe when you were in school you wouldn't think I'm not going to be a secretary, but when we were in school, computers weren't really a thing.
No, not at all.
But now everybody types.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't type the way you're supposed to type, but even I can type not 100 words a minute, but I'm fairly good at typing in my own little way of typing.
You're typing. No, I did it the exact way that I'm supposed. I mean, I did learn where you put your fingers and which fingers tap what. Because Mr. Adelazy, that teacher, he was very good at.
That's way more important today than it was back when you took typing.
Who would have guessed? You're right. I wasn't going to be a secretary. I was going to be on construction.
Right. So yeah, I mean, but it just seems to me today they're wasting a lot of time teaching to standardized tests.
They do a lot of that, and that's what I do like about EFRA. With Dr. Troop and pushing the Life Ready grad and understanding it. When you graduate here, you're going to have some skills that's going to run. For the rest of your life,
regardless of what your job is.
It's
going to help you as a homeowner, as a whatever you end up being.
And again, it's as much effort as the
kid
student
wants
to put into
it, which is always the end of the story.
Absolutely. I mean, you get what you put into it.
In anything in life, really, that's the case. I mean, some people just get lucky and fall into shit, but generally speaking, the more effort you put into something, the more reward you get at the end of the day. So what else do we got? Anything?
Yeah, well, I did read this morning that, so talk about the poll
Oh yes, at Wabash Road.
at Wabash Road.
They're working on it
has
now.
it well, and it had its own.
Oh, it had its own memorial like thing sitting around.
Well,
and
it didn't have its own
website or
yeah,
well, like a
Facebook page,
Facebook
yeah.
page. Yeah, it did. But now they're fixing it. They're moving it supposedly. And fortunately, I did see something. It very well might have been on the Wabash Pole Facebook page, but that they were going to start working on it, and it might take them into mid-June till they're all done doing whatever. I don't even know what they're doing with it or where they're putting it, but it pretty much said, if you don't have to travel on, I guess it's Line Road and Wabash for the time being, try and avoid the area because it's, it's going to be one way or you're going to get hung up there. Then I heard about that before I stopped over at my mom on Wednesday, who is still living in the North Denver hood.
Yeah.
And usually when I leave there, I do come out through the back way over to Ephrata.
Yeah.
So instead, I wasn't even curious, I wonder how long I will have to sit there. I just went out to 272 and came up that way.
Well, and I did read in the paper that I think East Cocalico is either did an ordinance or considering an ordinance not allowing trucks to make that turn there. Because and that's generally what's breaking the pole.
Oh yeah, that's always what's breaking the pole. I mean, I'm not saying a car in the history of that pole never ran into that pole in an accident. These pole damages are not occurred with a violent crash.
Right.
They're occurring when the truck trailer pushes against it as the truck is trying to get around that turn. And that's hey, nothing against Four Seasons there. It's a big booming business.
Well, assuming but that's who's doing it.
Well, I think most of them trucks are, what I heard is most of the trucks coming from wherever they come from, unfamiliar drivers following their GPS.
Yeah.
And they get to Wabash Road coming in the back way, and then they're forced to make that turn. And it's either that or they don't want to take the time to go all the way into, say, Weaver Road, go into Denver and come back 272. So they try to make the turn. And I guess they cross their fingers, and more times than not, they fail.
Sorry, my wife has been calling me, so I just want to make sure she knows I'm good.
Okay. But there again, same deal in Denver. Now, not that a pole gets taken out every 5 minutes, but the Denver cold storage thing on back in Washington Street, that is a pain in the ass when you're at that red light and you got these trucks coming up, and a lot of times you got to, everybody in line got to back up to make it, and I understand these places want industry for tax base.
Yeah.
But leaving an industry where the entire industry is based on trucks coming and going, hauling goods, and then letting it be in a place like that. I don't know. Doesn't.
What would really work there?
No, not a traffic.
A traffic circle.
I'm still waiting for this. I don't know. I think they just had some new meeting in the one at 272.
I don't know. I didn't have it.
I don't know what the outcome was.
I don't know if it happened yet or not, but I saw that they were going to have a meeting on it.
When that's done, and I have no voice. I mean, I don't live in East Cocalico. I probably have no say whatsoever in it, and I really don't care. But when that's done, I'm going to post up at Riviera, and the first truck that gets hung up in there, I'm taking a picture of it. And then I'm going to say, see, I told you that.
I like traffic circles.
I'm not anti-traffic circle. I just don't, I think they have their places. Like the ones at Lidditz are fine. There is just an overabundance of tractor trailer traffic going to and from the turnpike or to and from 222. From Four Seasons, Denver Cold Storage.
I get it. I understand. Look, you're going through Hershey. There's
several.
Right, but can you imagine going? I mean, I love Lidditz, right? But going through Lidditz and all the lights are very frustrating, especially if
they are.
So if they had circles,
no, and the ones in Hershey are fine. But I don't think honestly, and I yes, there's probably tractor trailers that go on 322 there. Not nearly to the degree that there is in Reamstown there. I don't think, obviously there are some people, but I don't think a lot of people really realize how many freaking tractor trailer trucks go back and forth through that intersection.
Well, and I think that makes it even better to have a traffic circle.
It's going to have to be, it's going to have to be one that is not a very tight circle at all.
Get a tape measure and make sure
it's going to have to be almost like well, it doesn't matter because they come from all over. So it can't really like be an ellipse. Like, okay, I
No.
don't have to make a sharp turn here
No,
because they do
Gotta
come
be
out of
round. It's
Denver.
gotta be
The
round,
only
yeah.
place they probably don't really come from is downtown Reamstown. But out of Denver
It's
and
gotta
both
be a
ways on the
circle,
highway,
It
I'm
can't-
anxious for it. I'm anxious to see how it works, but
I
it's
don't know that it's gonna.
and I don't want to bust on tractor trailer drivers, but there are probably just following some of them on my way to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. Some mornings,
Yeah.
I don't think everybody behind the wheel of a tractor trailer driver is an excellent tractor trailer driver.
Well, just like any other
That's-
profession,
yeah.
it's yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you're not excellent at packing shoes in boxes, that's one thing. If you're driving an 18-wheeler and you're not the best guy at it, but you need bodies because there's
The
a shitload of
shortage.
trucks
Yeah,
traveling in and
yeah.
out of them places. You know, we wait and see.
Oh, my. So one last topic.
Okay,
there.
all right,
How
yeah,
about that?
I'm game for.
All
any
right. So
topic.
last night we talked about tattoos.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
And
So,
I myself like tattoos. I don't have a tattoo.
I would be real interested to hear from somebody out in the audience about tattoos because I am absolutely getting a tattoo. My wife is not happy about it. She gets pissed when I bring it up. But and we talked about like you're not going to just get a random tattoo.
No, I wouldn't.
It would be something.
It would have
that's
to be something
meaningful.
that
yes.
I conjured up in my mind that had a damn lot of meaning to it.
Yeah.
For whatever that meaning
Yes.
is. The only, to be perfectly honest, probably the only reason, two reasons. One, I haven't actually sat down to conjure up what I'd get a tattoo of. And the reason for that is since I don't have a spleen, I'm easy susceptible to more bacterial
Mhm.
infections. And so I'm just not willing to risk getting MRSA or losing an arm because I thought I wanted a little drawing on it. If I didn't have that issue, I would probably have a
Yeah.
tattoo. I just
Yeah.
don't know what it would be at this point.
Yeah.
And as far as tattoos on other people, I find them, not every one of them is attractive to me. And there's, I think in my mind, there's a little bit of a limit of them. You know, like I think there is the case of you can have too many of them.
Yes. Oh, I would
But
agree.
if
Yeah.
that individual likes what they're doing,
Yeah,
I have no
no,
problem
no,
with it. I mean, I'm
you
not
can do
judging.
it, no.
And there are, the stigma is like it used to be with me and my long hair when I was a kid. Oh, that guy's got long hair. He's probably
Yes.
like doing drugs.
Right.
And I never did. And just because somebody is all tatted up doesn't mean they're a bad
No,
person.
no,
They
no.
could be a better person than me and you.
Yeah.
They just like tattoos. But
Absolutely.
I personally, there's sort of a limit as to how much you would want to get. But I do find that, I'm going to say attractive on a lady, depending what it is.
Yeah.
And if a guy gets
Well,
a cool tattoo, that's cool.
Yeah, that's also, yeah. I've seen a lot of on ladies like their puppy, their dog, and they have their paw print on their arm, and that's
And
and
if
that's
that,
pretty
I mean,
cool.
to them,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not a big dog lover. I'm not getting the dog's
You're
face on my-
not gonna-
No,
come on, you come
not even
on.
getting my dog's face on myself. But if
I
that's,
can feel the love.
but there is things that people, it means more to them than
Yes.
and so that's fine. I mean, I guess my only thought of tattoos is, especially if you're young and you're getting a million
Yes.
tattoos,
Oh, that would be.
you are going to eventually get old, and
Yeah.
those tattoos aren't going to look the same. No, number one, because you're young enough that by the time you get old, they're probably going to fade, run together, and whatever, and your body is going to change.
Yeah.
And what used to look cool is now going to look like a sagging mess of ink on the side of you, probably. So maybe it's better to wait till later in life.
I would agree with waiting only because the jobs.
Well, jobs, yeah,
Jobs like in the police department, you can't have a tattoo showing.
Okay.
That's just effort. That's specific to departments.
Yeah.
But
there,
you
yes,
can't have.
and I do think
So
that
that you got to be careful. Like if I was 21 years old and got a tattoo all the way up my arm, I couldn't become a police officer in Ephrata unless somehow I covered it. That while I was on duty,
Yeah.
it couldn't be seen. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because
I
don't-
do
it's-
think those standards have gotten really relaxed
They
in the last
have.
10 years.
they have.
As far as industry, business,
Yeah.
and the acceptance of tattoos.
Yes.
But
Right.
yes, I mean, but I also think two things. If you're older in life, one, your body's still going to change, but not as drastically at this point.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of these youngsters, I just think, run out and pick something out of a book, and
That's right.
yeah,
Yeah,
let's
I've heard
stop
that.
and get tattoos.
Yes.
Oh, what do I want?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get 6 of them here,
Yeah.
and then 3 later, what the hell did I
Yeah,
do?
yeah. It doesn't mean
That's,
anything. Yeah,
yeah,
it's got to mean something.
but no, I'm not
I'm-
anti-tattoo at all.
No.
I mean, I was probably one of the very first males. I was 17, just out of high school, and I got my ear pierced.
Oh yeah.
And at that time, other than in Cocalico, that probably wasn't a thing. And I wore my earring proudly. Like I didn't have some big ass hoop
Yeah,
or nothing.
right.
I actually had a little
A
diamond
little
stud,
diamond. Yeah.
and I would wear it. And and then once everybody and their brother started getting their ear, both ears, their nose, then I decided, all right, this, I don't think, like, I think my ear hole is shut. Like, I don't think I could put an earring in now.
We could work on that later.
Well, I could. I mean, actually, as an adult, like, I think one Halloween, since I've been married to my current wife, I think I did get one in, like an ear,
Yeah.
just for like
Yeah.
a Halloween.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I really worked
Not a
at
quick
it,
one.
like it. No, but so I was I was a rebel in my
You
day
were,
of
yeah. I
getting
was
an
not.
ear.
I was
I got
not
my
a
ear
rebel.
pierced, and as a matter of fact, I got a little funny story. Like my mom, not a lot of people even know my mom, and my mom's her own thing, and it just. But when I did get my ear pierced,
Mhm.
like I was just out of high school, and me and a friend of mine were somewhere, and he was driving, and I had to stop at home to grab something. So he pulls in my driveway and is waiting with the car running outside, and I run in to go run up to my bedroom to get whatever it was. In the meantime, my mom goes out to the guy driving and says, I just want you to know what kind of people you're hanging around with, because he just got his ear pierced. Like my mom's going out busting on me to this buddy of mine. Like maybe he don't want to hang around me because I got my ear
Wow.
pierced. Yeah, that's yeah. So
That's interesting.
yeah. That's my mom. I mean, she wasn't really serious, and I give my mom credit. She, I would have long hair or whatever, and she never bitched about that at all. And she used to wait when I would come home, and when I was out of high school, still lived at home though. On weekends there was times I left on a Friday and never got back till Sunday, and she'd be sitting on a recliner smoking a cigarette. I was just about to call missing persons. That was the end of it. So, but anyway, yeah, I was a rebel. I just didn't ever get a tattoo.
I was not a rebel. When I am getting a tattoo and I'm not allowed to talk to my wife about it, she gets
All right.
pissed, and she will see this and she'll be pissed. But that's all right.
And
I'm in the
probably
dog
eventually
house.
get over it. Hopefully.
I'm sure.
If
sure
not,
she will.
If not, there's other
We're
fish in
married
the
30
sea.
Yeah, there are other fish in the sea. We're married 30 years. This fish is done.
Yeah. Yep. That's, all righty.
Well, there you
Is
go.
that it?
I think that's
All right, then we're
that's
going to
a
wrap that up. And hopefully most of our discussion was serious, knowledge based, and helpful to somebody out there who may be concerned as to how our local schools handling the door situation and the mental health situation. So anyway, we're going to bid you farewell for this week. I don't think we have a guest lined up at this point for next week yet. So if you watch us and get to this point and you want to come on here and talk about whatever you want to talk about, just get a hold of us. We're good with any topic. And if not, it'll be us two again. And we'll think of a new topic next week.
Today is the 27th. Right. Yeah. Because we do have one coming up in
June 17th.
Yeah,
we do have Andrea Keith booked to be here. She is a local realtor, also a massage therapist. I don't think she's going to be talking about either of those things,
no.
but
No.
we'll just keep it a little secret for now.
That was going to be.
You may want to tune in. But that's June 17th.
I'm anxious for that one, but you probably won't hear a lot from me.
Well,
I will be
who
just kind of
knows?
sitting back because I'm just going to be soaking that one in.
But any Friday before or after that, if you're out there, we're open.
There you go.
All righty. We'll see you next week. Here we go.